second paper, which is a proposal for a proposed emergent skill extraction methodology by Engineer Nader Keshk and supervised by Dr. Mohammad and Dr. Akram Salah. So the stage is yours.
Hello everyone, my name is Nader. I am a product manager working in the expert app company. The paper I will introduce today is a part of my master studies. The proposal named a proposal for enhancing Agile requirement engineering with prototyping and enriched user story. Okay. Agile software development is the most development software process widely used. But the Agile requirement engineering face many challenges. For example, managing with very little documentation and specification, also ensuring how the development team understanding all requirements and all customer needs. The Agile methodology using user story for capturing the requirement, but most of the time the user story is not enough to describe the requirement to the development team on the level of details. Sometimes the client does not have a clear vision about the system or system feature from the beginning, and he discovers it during the development or after delivery. So that leads to increasing the amount of rework. Hence, some researchers have suggested solutions for these challenges. For example, some researchers using a prototype is a very effective technique to support the user story to explaining the requirement. Other researchers using to enhance user story by add more details to give the development team more details about how to implement these requirements. In our paper, we discussed the challenges facing requirement engineering and decide the role of prototyping and the enriched user story it can playing a very important role to involve this to solve these challenges. We propose a roadmap to improving the requirement engineering by using a hyper approach, using a prototyping and enriched user story, along with extra validation steps. Here are each challenges. We study many researches talk about the challenges that facing Agile requirement engineering, and we list all of them in this table. The example of these challenges, we have the minimal documentation, ambiguity of requirement, missing requirement, also sometimes conflicting requirement if we have a different stakeholders and they take a requirement from different one. Maybe it make some conflict requirements. Also customer availability is customers not available all the time, and other challenges. For example, the missing high-level requirements. Okay, some researching using, as I mentioned, the prototyping for enhancing Agile requirement. This research is an example. Some researching using a programmatical prototype using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to support the user story. Other introduce the concept of reusable component in producing the reusable prototype to be used in another systems. The other research use a combination from low fidelity and high fidelity mockups during the requirement engineering process, using enriched user story. Other researchers using enhanced user story by add some details to the user story to describe the requirement to the development team. The first paper adding a usability requirement to the user story, and other research using the concept of UX design artifacts to enhance the writing user story. And the other research replacing the user story and use requirement specification document, including the conceptual model and mockups and the advanced acceptance criteria. Our hybrid approach. We proposed a roadmap to implement a requirement engineering with a hybrid approach, hybrid process by make a combination between the prototyping and the enhanced user story along with extra validation steps. Using these practices together, which helps to solve Agile requirement engineering challenges. This is the workflow of our approach. At the beginning, the product owner gathering high-level requirements and get the priority of it and decide which is dependent on each other and build the business process model. After that, the product owner fetch the feature according its dependency and gathering requirement. Gathering requirement, we suggest to the UX designer attend these sessions because in most of the time, the design requirement is neglecting in the beginning. So it is very efficient, the UX designer attends this gathering requirement session. After that, the UX designer build the prototype, and we have some tips how to build it efficiently. After that, the requirement, the client will validate the prototype, and product owner get feedback about the functionality of the system according to the prototype. This step is very important because it gives a clear vision and ensure there is no any missing requirement, or if have any conflict between what I understand and what the customer needs, the prototype will give a good proof to how to improve it. After that, the technical team validated prototyping to fetch any technical issue from the beginning, and that's it, the time. Product owner, after that, writing the enhanced user story with our template, and I will introduce it. The stakeholder review the user story. This level of reviewing of user story, he can fetch any other suggestion like validation or that need for development team. After that, he updated the backlog, and we can start the agile process according to which methodology that we are using, XP or Scrum. Okay. The prototyping is very efficient technique and very efficient to share the client needs, but we have some tips to get the maximum value of the prototyping. First, using high fidelity mockups as a prototype is very efficient and easy to modify to get the customer feedback more than the programmatical one. Second thing, using a professional tool like Adobe XD, it will be efficient to accelerate your productivity and to create the prototype. The third one is a generated reusable prototype is very effective because the development team will reuse it and don't start from scratch. Enhanced user story. The enhanced user story, we give a new template. This template includes the user story statement, precondition, post-condition, and scenario, and the output of the function of the user story, and data dictionary, and enriched acceptance criteria that not have included just the business rule. It's also included non-functional requirement and any conditions that system need. Okay, I will show you this template. Sorry, we are trying to open it. Okay. This is the example of the enhanced user story. It includes the priority, the user story statement, a short description about the story. Other actor, if I have multi-user do the same, we mentioned this in other users here. Location, if we have a specific path for this screen, for example, precondition and post-condition, and the output of this feature. Also, the scenario is how the user interact with the system. I need to scroll down, please. The data dictionary, also the back-end team need this to build this, the database, okay? The last one, okay? This is the acceptance criteria. We are categorized the acceptance criteria, as I mentioned, to have all business, not only business rule, but have other business like non-functional requirement and validation. And this the prototype will attach this story. This is give development team a good point of view to get what the customer needs exactly and share the customer needs. Okay? ممكن ارجع البرزنتيشن. Okay. 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 We have some tips, other tips about our approach. The development team can start sprint if the backlog have enough completed user story. Also, the BO and UX working parallel with the development team. They don't wait until finished the requirement because we are accept the agility. The approach can be used by any of agile methodology like XP or Scrum. While the agile is still welcome and the spirit of agility is still maintained, using this workflow, reducing the impact of a change and the amount of work by putting the extra effort upfront in detail and validating requirement instead of putting it later in the work. This doesn't delay development because it's done in parallel. And this is the challenges that we are expected to solve it by using our new approach. Our future work, we are currently applying our approach in the large scale project for empirical study. And the first result is very positive and very positive about our approach. After that, we are planning to survey experts in the field on how this value and evaluate our approach. This reference, thank you. Okay. Any questions? Okay.
You presented a list of challenges for requirements engineering.
Yes.
Are these challenges specific to Agile or they are general requirements engineering?
This is specific for Agile requirement. I take this from a literature review about the Agile requirement engineering challenges. Okay.
I think I can talk about that. So Agile, the main idea is that we produce less and less documentation.
Yes.
So you just as a form.
Yes.
Is that capturing a tool or it's a real set of something?
Yes, we can make using, for example, TFS to create a new template. Using this template to adding extra field that we are doing. We are doing this field according to the development feedback, which data they need to give us the to create them to.
This will take your time, to create them.
Yes, yes.
But what about the number of user story that you have? Do you create for everyone a prototype, or if you use priorities or something which is complicated?
We have a priority. Also, we mentioned in the slides the prototypes. We suggest using high fidelity mockups, not programmable prototype, because it's easy to create and don't take a time. Also, using a very professional tool like Adobe XD. The prototype, I can create a prototype in 30 minutes, not take a long time.
I hope you have a lot of user stories.
Yes, yes, yes.
I think if you multiply by 30.
Yes, yes, yes. I mentioned we are building a roadmap, business process model, laying a roadmap for the product owner in gathering requirement. He fetched only feature, and for this feature, he will product the prototypes of it, not the whole of the system.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Another question?
It seems that you are providing the user story use case.
Yes, because it's very efficient to capture requirement and fill the development what the customer needs. So it's is according to their feedback, is very efficient. And we went applying with a large scale project is to accelerate our works. Because we have in the all the way, we have many the system and deliver to the customer, give him feedback. We all the time, sometimes we discover some works is not covered. And we come to reward him, get many rewards again. Okay? But when we apply this technique in the project, it's reducing the amount of reward and the productivity is accelerated.
If you do this in the backlog, how does this impact the involvement of the rest of the team collaborating in the user story?
Yes, already I applied this template on the TFS, and the whole team member enjoying with using this, and they can make their tasks to this user story. Also, the quality team can attach the bugs or everything managed by the TFS.
Thank you for the presentation, Engineer. I have two questions. Can we return back to the workflow?
the microphone.
Okay.
No, I'm waiting. So I was
The workflow slide.
Yes. It's not that it's
Can you see that?
maybe you can use the
It's fine. Okay. So my question about like acceptance of the prototype. Okay. We are preparing prototype. The first thing the owner is doing is to create a prototype.
Yes.
Okay. That prototype is like reusable, as you said.
Yes.
Okay. So is it like reusable components or the whole prototype is reusable?
The prototype is reusable because the front, for example, the front end can use the color tool, the landscape, all of this data can use it in development. And this accelerates, this doesn't start from scratch. I mean, don't create a prototype as a mock-up as an engines.
No. So it's complete prototype.
Yes, it's complete prototype, and you can accelerate the productivity of prototyping using professional tool. I'm using the Adobe XD. It's accelerating our work, and only the development team can use the exported file, XD file.
Okay. So the second thing is about the acceptance of the prototype. So as you mentioned, the technical team are the ones that are responsible to accept the prototype.
Yes.
Is it the technical team or the customer?
As a first, I need that reviewing by the stakeholder or the customer to get feedback about the system. Because sometimes we are conflicting, sometimes we are, I'm not sure I understand what you want, especially in the new domains. If you are product owner and got a requirement in other domain, sometimes you can get each all of this of the requirements in the beginning. But after you draw the prototype and review it with the customer, you get feedback about what you understand. And if you have any misunderstanding, you will catch this point and move any quickly. After that, the technical team reviewing the prototype to search for any technical mistake or technical issue maybe raised in the development. It's better to catch it in the beginning.
Okay.
So it's save a time to make this comments in the. Okay.
So my last question is related to the doctor question.
Okay.
About the time, I think it may take a lot of time.
Okay.
So do you think it's better to use this with Kanban approach or Scrum approach?
I'm trying it with XP and Scrum. Scrum, yes, it works. Because it's related to the stage of gathering requirement, not all the process of the Agile. This needs to the first step of Agile requirement. That means you want to get the full detail of requirement and catch what the customer needs exactly before starting.
So you are taking like first group features, okay, apply this one. I lost the question. I'm sorry. Okay.
So we can continue after.
Okay.
Okay.